Hey everyone, it's ENDYMION and happy Space Marine 2 launch for everyone that is currently playing the game. It is now officially out, and everybody can go enjoy blasting alien scum and rearranging the anatomies of enemies with their chainswords if they want to. All of this is great, and the release of the game has seen a big boom of players, although I do think it will get much bigger as the next week goes by. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a lot of battling for the heart that is Warhammer, amidst both the fans of the franchise, as well as reviewers and journalists too. So we're going to talk more about the female Adeptus Custodes situation, and subgroups and fandom trying to weed out real Warhammer fans, cause they won't accept wokeness into the franchise. And the awful lengths that these people are going to in order to make Warhammer into a woke wasteland in the future. But first, obviously, you already know that the female Adeptus Custodes are something that has been made canon officially recently. They were confirmed seemingly out of nowhere on none other than Twitter before an actual official book was even released. And that obviously started up a firestorm that has been raging ever since. It's been months of this, by the way. But fans assumed that Games Workshop would not be stupid enough to actually canonize the female Custodes in some other form. Surely it was being pushed by Amazon, right? Originally, that's what we all thought based on the evidence that was provided. Cause surely Games Workshop wouldn't be dumb enough to roundhouse kick the hornet's nest like this, right? Then, the Warhammer Plus series The Tithes came out, and confirmed that there was indeed female Adeptus Custodes, with the first actually named member of this faction being revealed. Their name, in case you don't know it by the way, is Tyrith Shiva Kaivis. And they look like a man with longer hair and plumper lips. To be real with you guys, this character looks more like a caricature of what a woman even looks like. And it's very interesting how whenever women are forced into male-dominated spaces, they almost always are made ugly and deformed in some way. Yet the male Adeptus Custodes, they just look like men, but you know, taller and stronger and all of that because they're made by the Emperor, but I digress. Of course, people had issue with the female Custodes. She looked like someone wearing the face of a woman over their own. Of course, some users decided that this was a good thing. So firstly, don't harass anybody in this video. Let's just calmly look at what they're saying and then go from there. But this user said in response to Warhammer fans being very disappointed by the female Custode, "Women do not exist to be effable, to men you poltroon. Had they stopped their gotcha there, they may have had something," stating that a female warrior does not need to be caked in makeup with fake nails in order to be considered validated. However, of course, like always, these sorts of people tend to undermine their own causes, usually by their own free will. This user would then say, "Also, she's hot, she's for the lesbians." Ah, there it is. As always, they have their masks fall off like they always do, so Tyrith does not exist to be effable by males apparently. But also, she is hot and is for the lesbians because of course Tyrith has to exist and prop up the lesbian Warhammer players because ideology, I guess. So in one fell swoop, these sorts of fans are both agreeing with the OG fans who don't want stuff like Adeptus female Custodes, but are also disagreeing with them, but low-key proves the point that they were pushing anyways, which is simply that female Adeptus Custodes exist for one reason, and one reason only. Which is, of course, like always, representation. And I guarantee you it's also being done because if and when Amazon actually makes something out of the IP, they definitely want to have some big, strong, ugly as sin women running into battle too. Because nothing gets a blue-haired writer's loins going more than the sight of a woman in the position of a man. And of course, like always, it will go over badly, people will reject it, and the existence of these sorts of characters are very obviously being pushed in order to further some sort of agenda. The Custodes, in case you don't know, they're the elite guard of the Emperor of Mankind. They're basically the most powerful force of humans that the Emperor has at his disposal on the ready, which is why they stand so close to him. He basically has around 10,000 of these people. They're like bodyguards at the ready that can crush your head like it's wet tissue paper. It's also a group that is very much disinterested in anything besides protecting their Emperor, so stuff like identity politics or whatever, that really would not matter to them at all. Of course, the lore has for a very long time stated that the Custodes were exclusively chosen from noble houses and always had to be male. And I personally don't like this retconning of lore because it makes everything feel pointless when rules and tenets are thrown aside in favor of identity politics. And I cringe thinking that one day, in the Witcher universe probably, that a female Witcher will exist, and oh god, I hope not. Of course, some fans are making fun of these tourists, and it's great to see from that park place. Warhammer hobbyists mock Games Workshop for scrapping their lore and making female Adeptus Custodes. And over on Reddit, users are showing how stupid lore changes can become, and the mocking is in full swing. One user posted an orc saying the books never stated there weren't ever any orc Custodes. Of course, this is a joke, but they're proving the point because if lore doesn't matter, then literally nothing does. And it shows how quickly everything can unravel and become pointless, which just makes people less interested in the hobby. Another user would reply by saying, "Pretty sure there has always been Orci Custodes, they just haven't been mentioned in any of the lore. Books, codex, models, films, animation, design discussions, or illustrations, you orcophobe." And then another replied, "In reality, all Custodes are orcs. It's a translation mistake on the part of the books. They read all Custodes begin their lives as the infant sons of the noble houses of Terra. The correct translation is all Custodes begin their lives as the infant boys of the noble houses of Terra. If you are not familiar with the setting and the language, it could be an easy mistake." Ah yes, the sarcasm is running wild on Reddit, but can you really blame them? And this user just kind of solidifies how stupid this all is, where they say, "There has always been Orc Custodes since the first of the 10,000 was created." There it is, fellas. I mean, why not, right? If none of this lore apparently matters to Games Workshop in the first place, then let's just do whatever we want with it. Did you know that the Emperor of Mankind isn't even human, but is actually a Necron wearing the flesh of a person instead? And if you don't believe me, you're just being a bigot and just need to accept this new truth that makes absolutely zero sense. Also, the Horus Heresy, that never happened. That was propaganda made by the Emperor, so stop reading disinformation. And the whole sacrificing psychers to keep the Emperor alive, yeah, that's also a lie. He's totally fine, guys. He's definitely not a rotting corpse on a throne right now at all. Also, Titus from Space Marine 2 is trans, and if you disagree, please kindly send me all your personal details so that I can dox you and get you fired from your real-life job for not agreeing that a fictional Space Marine in a video game doesn't fit my moronic ideology that I self-impose until everything I consume, otherwise I cannot enjoy it. But wait, that's actually happening. So yeah, on Twitter and such, a bunch of Warhammer fans are currently fighting against woke tourists almost daily at this point, and this all pretty much stems from the female Adeptus Custodes nonsense. Because once the floodgates are breached, a lot of crap is going to seep through, as you know. Anyway, one of the accounts that is getting harassed almost constantly is Woke Hammers. They're a pretty base Twitter user that just wants to retain the love and quality that people who enjoy Warhammer have been enjoying for decades. They also tend to call out these sorts of individuals who threaten others when it comes to doxing and such. Wokehammer is one of the good ones, I would say. Of course, it doesn't stop them from getting comments like this after posting some of their own collection. "I'm sure your game store would love to know what you do online." Ah, really? As if their local game store would refuse their business because they love the hobby and want to protect it from weirdos like you. If anything, the store would be happy that they do that actually. And that isn't even the worst of it. Thankfully, other Twitter users like Thor Odinson has also been fighting these people alongside another user named Chainsword 40K. So, shout out to all of them, but Odinson has posted some of these things that the woke weirdos are doing, and it's pretty awful, man. For example, they're going out of their way to dox people based on their opinions when it comes to Warhammer and wanting to protect it from the freaks. Like this one user where everything is blocked out because they literally got doxxed with their full name, address, everything online because they defended Warhammer as a hobby. Another post showed a user getting a DM that said, "You have 24 hours to delete all of your Twitter and Discord accounts, or else I'll make sure you're not only unemployable, but won't be able to sleep at night." They also say, which is blacked out at the bottom there thankfully, where they work and everything else. So like I was saying, yet another person is getting doxxed by these hate groups within Warhammer that assure you that they're totally harmless and want nothing but love and kumbaya-ness for the hobby. Sure you do. But any rational human being out there would not be doing this to other people. But to be frank with you, I think the real reason why these woke freaks that are invading Warhammer are doing this is for a few reasons. One is obviously they want to take over the hobby completely. They don't want the legacy fans there anymore. Because the existence of original fans is a threat to them because they stand for what actually matters over their stupid ideologies. They also know that their ideology has no ground to stand on whatsoever, and if you combat their beliefs, their positions, well, they will crumble like sand. So to them, the only reasonable way to win the argument, so to speak, is to resort to cancel mob tactics. Sure, you might know more than me when it comes to Warhammer, own more merch, and have been here longer, but I found where you work, where your kids go to school, and your full legal name. And unless you leave the hobby altogether and effectively erase your entire online presence, I'll just leak everything about you online. And then hopefully someone more unhinged will see it, and if they're in the area, they will take matters into their own hands. Like this is how these people operate, man. And I know it's not just Warhammer, it's a lot of franchises and hobbies being infiltrated by these very same kind of people. I mean, I don't know if you know or not, but there's this huge cancel campaign right now in Star Wars fandom. And it has to do with the Acolytes getting cancelled, and then people like Star Wars Theory, Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kennel of RK Outpost, Neurotic, and more. They are pretty much getting attacked daily by these pro-woke Acolyte fans. And they're all rallying around another YouTube channel called Star Wars Explained, which is a channel that are big shills for Disney Star Wars, like very big. They lick their boots. Anyways, the reason why I bring this up is because it's to show you that these sorts of fans, the ones who are doxing people and threatening their lives, or in the whole Star Wars Acolyte thing's case, they're trying to get YouTube to demonetize these guys' channels because they claim what those channels do is racist and toxic for Star Wars as a whole. Which isn't true, by the way, at all. Criticism is not racism or anything like that. But to these Star Wars fans, as well as these woke Warhammer fans, to them, it's all the same. You don't like what I do, therefore you are the enemy, and these people are so brainwashed that they're going and breaking the terms of service across the board in hopes that something that they do will result in one of these channels getting demonetized, or someone getting fired, or someone getting hurt or else. And in Warhammer's case, maybe if they dox some prominent Warhammer Twitter user, they can force them to leave. Which of course will then leave a power vacuum of influence and Twitter followers left looking on to where to go next. In my opinion, you need to stand up to these people and report them, as always. Because obviously, it's illegal to dox people, and it's morally unjust to be revealing private information about anyone. Like, look, I don't like Sweet Baby, right? But you won't ever see me telling you guys to go to someone's house or whatever that works for Sweet Baby. No, never do that ever. The moment you stoop down to their level, you're no better than the evil that you're fighting against. Movements like these, they fall apart the moment you start acting like the opposition. The woke mobs that threaten Warhammer, Star Wars, and many other fandoms, they thrive on their ability to use scare tactics in order to get what they want. That's why they're doing what they're doing. They're hoping by doxing people that they'll leave entirely for good, because they would want nothing more than for Wokehammer or Thor Odinson's accounts or Chainsword 40K to be deleted and for them to just walk away from the internet forever. The same way those rabid woke Acolyte fans would be celebrating from the rooftops if Star Wars Theory got demonetized or had his channel deleted, which, by the way, that will not happen. And that whole movement is hilarious because it will do nothing but harm their own cause even further, while just propping up Theory, Nerdrotic, and others even more. It'll be the Streisand effect at full power. The fact these people never seem to learn from their own mistakes is why they're always doomed to keep repeating them so often. These are also the same people that will be celebrating that female Adeptus Custodes are now a thing as well. Because to them, the existence of that means that they have a win against the original Warhammer fans. It means they have dented the armor, so to speak, and they're hoping that one day, if enough of these changes happen, eventually, you'll all leave defeated with your tails between your legs, and they want that more than anything else. which is why it's more paramount than ever, especially these days, that whatever it is that you love, be it Warhammer or anything else, that you stand by it and you protect it. Like I said in my previous Warhammer video, and I got asked this as well on Twitter recently, where a user asked me why did I buy Space Marine 2 when that purchase would reinforce the wokeness of Games Workshop in their minds. But I'll just read what I said to that person on Twitter. I said, you should support good ideas and reject bad ones. By supporting Space Marine 2, you're telling Games Workshop that you want more of this. By rejecting female Custodes, you're also sending them a message. It's not always black and white all the time. Little by little, we can change things. And I stand by what I said there even now, because I do believe it is truly the best way forward. By rejecting everything Games Workshop makes, you're dooming the entirety of Warhammer to utter oblivion. It's like with Concord, you all didn't buy it, and now Firewalk Studios is pretty much cooked. However, you should support the things that you deem well made, because by supporting those things, it incentivizes companies to make more of that thing in the future. Obviously, this is how capitalism works. I like Space Marine 2, okay? I enjoyed it a lot. I'll play it more once I platinum Black Myth Wukong, which, by the way, I am very close to doing. I just need those damn seeds to drop. But anyways, I do think supporting Space Marine 2 is a morally good thing to do in terms of Games Workshop, because if Space Marine 2 wins and does well financially, it's a net positive for Warhammer fans, because it tells Games Workshop, hey, the fandom likes this, they want more of this, maybe we should keep making more stuff like it. And the game is, like I said in my previous video, very based and has zero identity political woke garbage in it. And that is a great thing for obvious reasons, so we should congratulate Games Workshop and Saber Interactive on their work here, because it makes sense. Of course, I have problems with Space Marine 2. I do think the game would benefit greatly from a Vermintide Horde mode-like gameplay experience. Apparently, it is getting a Horde mode, but it's like in late 2025 apparently when that'll happen, and I think Saber should definitely push that mode to the front line of their priorities, because I think Space Marine 2 is the most fun when you're just in the thick of combat, mercilessly killing things with other players. But like I said, you gotta support the things that matter, because also by supporting Space Marine 2, but rejecting female Adeptus Custodes and refusing to buy their miniatures or any future products, you're telling Games Workshop, hey, this sucks, stop doing that, and once they see the surplus in product that is just rotting on shelves, they'll likely go, well, we tried it, and clearly there is not an audience for this, so we will scale this back and further invest into what people actually want from us. You can't win these battles all the time by just refusing to buy things. Sometimes it is very black and white. Like I said, in Concord's case, the customer spoke with their wallets and Sony has listened. But in Games Workshop's case, it's far more nuanced, because we're not dealing with a single product here like Concord, a game in that instance, but an entire franchise with scores of products from all corners of that universe. By refusing everything, you're damning the entirety of that thing you love to never exist again. And maybe to some that is worth it in the end to see those changes fail, but personally, I think you need to support the parts of the things you love, because that's how those things get better. It's like YouTube, okay? People like a video, so the creator makes more videos like that one. But maybe they make another video on something else, it doesn't do as well, so naturally the creator will go, okay, there's not as big an audience for that, so I'll pivot my content. You have to be realistic with your money, time, and your expectations, and I think standing by Warhammer is the right thing to do. Because if you don't, what will end up happening is that the entire company, franchise, all of it will get much, much smaller and worse. Until eventually, you all leave, the OG people I mean, and then Games Workshop is forced to cater to this very small niche community of weird woke freaks who keep painting, gender flags on their miniatures, and they need to cater to them like crazy in order to survive now. And at that point, once you all leave Warhammer, will just become an identity political nest of nonsense. You'll have they-them Space Marines and trans Chaos Marines and God knows what else. I guarantee you they'd eventually turn the Emperor of Mankind into a non-binary person, probably also a person of color for good measure too. So ultimately, by abandoning Warhammer outright in every way, you're leaving the hobby and the franchise to the sole devourers of woke insanity. You're essentially saying, you won, we lost, you can have it, go turn it into whatever it is that you freaks want. And I think that would be the greatest failure of anything else if that were to happen. It's why I fight seemingly every single day for the heart and soul of video games and more, because I really care about this stuff. Sure, there's people out there who say, oh, he's a grifter, but in actuality, I'm a lover of video games, okay? First and foremost, always. Nothing brings me more joy in this world, and I am not kidding you, than sitting on my couch with my doggies with a nice cup of hot coffee, playing a video game that I love. There is simply nothing more enjoyable to me than that in my mind. As a kid, I loved doing it. As a teen, I loved it. And now as a 31-year-old adult, I love it more than both my younger versions of myself combined. I will not give up on video games because to me, they are quite simply one of the greatest forms of human expression and art that this world has ever seen. Especially if that piece of art is called Cory in the House for Nintendo DS, because hell yeah, brother. Look at those graphics, talk about ahead of its time. But I just refuse to allow the industry, this hobby, and this extends to Warhammer, Marvel, Star Wars. There's so many franchises and fronts to fight from, but I want to save it all because I want the kids growing up today to be able to look at these things like I did when I was their age and just get lost in their wonder, because I want kids to feel the way about something the same way I did when I first played Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1, or Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, or when I played Mass Effect on the Xbox 360 when it came out. Like, that changed me, because these experiences, they matter to people, and I will never back down or allow these people to ruin something that matters so much to me on a molecular level. Video games are a part of me, as they are to you too, I'm sure. And we don't need to suffer these people's insane ideologies or demands any longer. Gamergate 2 is growing, okay? We are winning. We are living in these woke freaks' heads rent-free 24/7. Go look on Twitter and see how many people can't shut up about Grumps for a good example of this. They hate us because they know our existence future-proofs their demands and ideologies from never coming to fruition. I often also get asked that what will I do if things get fixed and everything is good again? Would I stop reporting on these things? Will my channel just shut down? The answer is simply no. I would just probably change my channel to just celebrating games I love and enjoying games with others. But I can't enjoy the things I love as much as I want to, knowing that there's scum out there wanting to dox others, or ban and cancel people, or run hate campaigns to silence others' voices. Warhammer is but one battlefield on the ever-growing expanse that is the battle for pop culture. We cannot and should never ever bow down or allow these freaks even an inch. Like Titus in Space Marine 2, you stand firm, you hold your ground, and you push them back with every action that you take. You rip and you tear until everything is fixed. You never flinch and you keep pushing forward. We are winning, dear viewer, and they can try whatever they want. We will win this, and we can take back these franchises and these hobbies. And as always, I thank you for watching, so subscribe and all of that. Thanks to my members and patrons for their support, or anyone who does anything, like send super thanks, whatever. I always respond because I cherish any support anyone gives me, so really thank you so much. I promise I will not fail you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.